Eamon, Farren and Louisa, Mignone, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Pleasure.
First with you, Eamon. Now you're the blow-in, effectively, in this crowd.
Yeah.
Originally from the Gold Coast, you must be just relishing this weather here at the moment.
Yeah, it's I've sort of pulled out all my cold clothes for down here. Although Sydney's it gets cold, but here's definitely something else.
It's certainly a bit bitter at the moment.
Yeah.
Now tell us a little bit about your career to date. You're a NIDA graduate of 2007. What's happened since then?
Well, I graduated in 2007. But before we graduated, I got cast in the Pacific, so I got to miss the last 3 or so months of school. So I went up to Port Douglas and did boot camp and hung out in the bush with the Americans and the rest of the Australians and did the Pacific. And then we came back and graduated from NIDA. And then since then, I've been doing some theatre in Sydney and some Australian films, Lucky Country, Blessed, Red Dog, which was also shot in Adelaide, and a film called X that's coming out at the end of the year.
And for this film, for this play, who found whom? Did you seek it out, or they come to you? How did that come to be?
Well, I've met Maddie before, Maddie Widdett, who wrote the play and who plays Will. I met him in Sydney, and he came up to me at one point about a year ago and said that he was working on a Robin Hood story and that he was kind of keen for me to come down and work on the development first. So I flew down for a week at the end of last year, the middle of last year, and we worked on the play for a week with Rose and all the creatives that are involved now and most of the actors. And we had a week here, and at the end of the week we pitched it to the In Space program at the Festival Centre, and they picked it up. And then from there I got offered the role, which was wicked, because I was kind of going to be a bit snubbed if I didn't get it, so I was pretty stoked about that. And then so it's been waiting for about 6 months, and then here we are.
Good. Now Louisa, you're a local girl, Flinders Uni drama graduate.
Yep.
Had some success with some fringe shows in 2009 in particular.
Yeah.
Tell us what else.
Well, I graduated 2006 from Flinders Drama Centre and moved immediately kind of to Sydney, not because I don't like South Australia, just because there was some work opportunity over there. So I've been in Sydney for 3-4 years, perhaps. And I have a company with all 5 other women that I graduated with, and we've had some success with 2 shows we've done for the Fringes every year here, which has been great. And then I've just done minor bits of TV and film out of Sydney and nationally.
And apart from the opportunity of having a leading role, what attracted you to this particular role of Mary in The Fugitive?
Well, I got to read the script and offer the audition in maybe February or March I think, this year. And I thought it was a really quirky script. I thought it was very, very clever. Matt's, a smart man. So I just auditioned for it in March and then got the word, I think a week later, it was quite quick, that I was cast. So I just spent a couple of months in Sydney just killing time, doing other things, and then back here, which is good. It's nice.
Now, I'm interested in the role of the children being, I understand, were involved in some of the rehearsals to give sort of feedback along the way. Tell us a little bit about how that worked from your perspective.
No, you go.
High school, I think there were 4
Yeah.
high school groups that came in from the first week. They came in to see a rehearsal process, so they've come in for about an hour or 2, or an hour the first week, and then I think the second, and then again near the end. So they just got to see, I guess, from page to stage what the process is, and how Rose, the director, kind of pieces it all together, and how we all create our characters. So I think they really enjoyed it. And they gave us great feedback. It was actually really good, really good having them there, because they kind of go, I'm confused about that, or I like that, or I don't like that, and so it was really valuable having them in there.
I think especially for this play, because it's so aimed at the younger crowd, or 16, above 16. It was really interesting to see what they responded to, what we were doing, what they were responding to straight away, and maybe some of the things that we hadn't really tapped into yet. So it was really good for us to sort of really, really zero in on what they liked and what they were into, and kind of what they got already and what they wanted more of. So I think what's come out of that, and we've spoken to a few of them that have seen the play now, that through that process and through us detailing it, they kind of get a lot more out of it, which is wicked for everyone involved.
Now, I was also interested, in fact, I appreciate Windmill's raison d'etre is about producing shows for younger audiences, and and that, but this nonetheless is an enjoyable show for people of all ages.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering what different audience reactions have you had, say, from these morning audiences to the evening audiences so far?
I think the main difference is, obviously with the nighttime performances, it's predominantly an adult audience with a few kids peppered throughout. And so the reactions are I think the great thing is that the adults have been getting as excited about the play as the kids. But when we come to the morning performances, it sort of just lifts a whole another level. And Maddie was just saying before, it's like when you're eating roast pork and the apple sauce, it's just like it adds that little bit extra spice and
it's
excellence.
like a rock concert. They go wild. It's cool. And they react like the older audiences are great because then they pick up on, I guess, more nuances that happen in it that are aimed a bit higher. But the kids are pretty sharp, and they're 15 years and up, and they even today they actually just react like ooh and ah and ah. They actually said a couple of things out loud during today's performance. Like
and usually the adult reaction is they receive it and they laugh. And then afterwards, the kids just sort of go nuts. So there's sort of like a build of laughter, which is always really great.
Yeah.
What have been the most challenging roles for each of you in this? One thing I noticed, obviously, was the very rapid scene changes, which are novel and really quite exciting. But what for each of you has been the most challenging parts of this show?
Yeah, the physicality is pretty full on. It's hard. And the physicality and I guess the emotion, because it gets to a point where I think Eamon and I are probably like the most serious near the end, and there's some really funny characters coming in, like Carmel, Smarty, and Jeff Ravel's Guy is like hard to play, kind of like that really, really serious kind of emotion juxtaposed with their kind of hilarity in there. But yeah, the physicality's we've been getting show fit.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been about, because of the way it's written, because it's almost like a really filmic script for the stage, and because it is a modern take on the fairy tale, and it is about pop culture, and kids these days aren't really, I mean, they're onto it, and if you rest for a second, they kind of catch you out. So I think for me, with Robin especially, with his love of his friends, but also the rage that he's dealing with, jumping from scene to scene, not only physically but the emotional fitness and the timing and the bringing out the subtext of the script as well. I think getting all that just ahead of the audience has been the most challenging thing, and if you get it right, the most rewarding.
Well, Louisa and Eamon, thanks very much for your time. I think it's a
you.
great show, and I hope it continues for a good season here.
Thanks so much,
Thank you.
mate.